Have you guys ever known someone that absolutely cannot make a decision? You guys ever known anyone completely and totally indecisive? Someone that you go somewhere and it's nigh impossible for them to choose something, be it a restaurant to eat at, a movie to go see, jeans to pick out. They cannot decide for the life of them on a decision one way or another. You guys ever know anyone like that? Yes. For me, the first and most prominent instance that comes to mind is my mother. She is probably the most indecisive lady that I know. God bless her heart. She's a little 5'1" Korean lady, spanked the heck out of my bottom when I was little, and she's amazing. Loves the Lord with all her heart. But her one downfall is she absolutely is probably the worst decision maker when it comes to eating out that I've ever encountered. I can remember in high school when I was your guys' age, we'd go out to Applebee's, and I've just got my heart set. I'm absolutely ravenously hungry, as I'm sure you guys can relate to. Ravenously hungry. You go out to Applebee's, I just want some honey barbecue boneless chicken wings with 5 pieces of celery, some ranch dressing, and a peach iced tea, and I'm good, you know what I mean? We get there, I'm like, Mom, let's do this, and we head out, and we get down, we sit down, and the waitress comes by, and I'm ready to order. I don't even need to look at the menu, and my mom goes, I'll just get one sec, please, thank you. And she'll walk away, or the waitress will walk away, and my mom is absolutely scrutinizing 4 options on a happy hour menu. She's going over, do I want the chicken quesadilla with or without chicken? Should I get with celery? Oh, should I get with sour cream? But I'm lactose intolerant, so I can't have that. Maybe I should get some guacamole. Ooh, do I want the Mondo nachos with tomatoes on top of the skin? Really hurts my stomach. Like, Mom, please, like, just make a decision one way or another. I'm starving, you know what I mean? Have you guys ever known anyone like that? Like, it's just maddeningly frustrating how indecisive they are. Well, that's kind of what we're talking about this morning. You can write down on that little piece of paper you got when you came in that says Hero Series. We're talking tonight about pro-choice. That's the name of the message. Pro-choice. Make a decision. Make a decision one way or another. We're not necessarily talking about abortion. We're just talking about choosing here tonight. And so there's a great example of this in the Bible. It comes in 1 Kings chapter 18. This story of there's a prophet named Elijah on Mount Carmel, and there's this incredible story of choosing here in the Old Testament. So we'll look through that, and basically to just let you guys know what happens. There's a nation of Israel. Elijah's a prophet in Israel, and he goes to the king, and the people are just kind of rebelling against God at this time. He goes to the king, and he says, let's have this competition. Let's find out once and for all who the real God is. And so King Ahab agrees. He goes up to a mountain with Elijah the prophet and 450 prophets of Baal. We'll talk about what Baal is in just a little bit. He goes up to this mountain, and Elijah goes before the people, and 1 Kings 18:21 says, Elijah's confronting the people, and he says, how long will you waver between 2 opinions? How long will you waver between 2 opinions? If the Lord is God, if Jehovah is God, follow him. But if Baal is God, follow Baal. So we'll decide this, but let's look at that real quick. Let's look at how long will you waver between 2 opinions. In Hebrew, that phrase literally means, how long will you hobble between 2 crutches? How long will you hobble along between 2 crutches? Eugene Peterson in the Message puts it, how long will you sit on the fence? How long will you sit on the fence? How long will you waver and be indecisive? And I like to look at how long will you hobble between 2 opinions, kind of look at some implications of that. And in high school, when I was your guys' age, I liked to play sports. I was really competitive and not very good. It was a terrible combination. But I played football and basketball for Oak Harbor High School. And I remember football my junior year. I was in 11th grade. The person that played one position ahead of me at the spot I was at, I remember he got injured. And it was coming up to the playoffs. I was taking it very seriously, way too seriously. But we were coming up to the playoffs, and he got injured, and I was going to get my chance to play. I was like, this is it. I'm going to the Raiders after this. I was just, you know what I mean? I was so excited, like, this is my chance. And I remember the day before the game, on Thursdays, we do like just a walk-through practice, just shorts, shoulder pads, helmets, like half speed, nothing intense. And what happened was, as we were just doing this walk-through practice, one of my friends who's real dumb pushed another kid, and he fell right on my ankle. I don't know how that's possible to fall on my ankle, but he managed to, and he fell on my ankle, and level 2 sprain right there on the spot, Thursday, day before the game. My ankle's black and blue. I hobbled off, and it was just like livid, you know what I mean? Like, no way, this was my shot. I'm not going to the league anymore, you know? And so I'm just injured. The next day is our football game, and I decide, no matter what, that I'm going to do my darndest to still play in this game. So I get my ankle taped up, I take about 10 ibuprofen, and I head out and try and play on the field. And I remember I didn't make it through 3 plays before I knew 100% totally that this wasn't going to work out, because as I'm hobbling around, I was completely and totally ineffective. I couldn't perform this position in the way that I needed to help win the game, to help the team out. And I think that's kind of what's happening in this scenario, that when Elijah says to the people, how long will you hobble between two crutches? He's saying to them, how long will you continue to be ineffective? How long will you continue to be ineffective in what you're doing here, in what you're doing as a nation of God? And so let's just some background here on Elijah. Elijah, when he tells the people to decide, some background on Elijah. Elijah comes to the people, and he's a prophet at a time when it's definitely not popular to be a prophet. I'm sure, like you guys in your high school, it's not always 100% popular to be a Christian. You guys probably relate to that. It's not popular to be a prophet at this time in Israel. Elijah, he's one of only a few prophets left in all of Israel. The other ones, literally hundreds of other prophets, have been killed off by the queen. There was this prophet, the queen named Jezebel, and her prophets of Baal. And so Elijah is literally just man on the run. He's just kind of like an outlaw, just running through the countryside, sleeping in caves, eating locusts probably. He's probably clothed in this wilderness fare. He probably lives in caves, probably has lice. If you think about it, he probably has lice. He lives with rats. You know, he's just on the run, and he comes to this people, and he's just got to, you got to imagine, he's just got to look like a complete wild man, you know? Imagine that with me. He comes to the people, and he's probably got a mangy beard. He probably like doesn't shave. He just tugs it out in tufts. And so he comes to the people and says, and is just fuming, because this is the people of God. And you got to imagine he's going crazy. He's like, how long will you waver, you know? And the people are like, oh my gosh, who's this? You know what I mean? He's like this wild, crazy man demanding that they choose. Like, how long will you waver? And he's got lice and beards and like a deerskin coat. He's kind of like a Royal Ranger commander. And he's just going nuts on the people out here. And he's telling them how long you waver. He's begging them to decide. And I love their response. It says in 1 Kings 18:22 that Elijah presents this challenge to them. How long will you waver? And the people are silent. The people are completely silent. We could probably do a whole series of messages about the silence of a generation. But particularly in this passage, I think the people are silent because they have no response to Elijah's challenge. They are the people of God. They are Israel. They know what's right and what's wrong. They know who they're supposed to follow. And the only response they can conjure up here at this point is silence, because they know Elijah's right, but they don't want to admit to it. They are completely silent, and they cannot answer because they know who they'll choose at this point. They've been choosing for 7 years. They've been choosing these prophets of Baal. And so Elijah proposes, verse 22 through 24 of 1 Kings. He says, because they're silent, he says, fine, all right, let's leave it, let's do a trial by fire. And so you guys make an altar, you Baal prophets, you make an altar, you put a sacrifice on it, and I'll make an altar and put a sacrifice on it. And we'll see which one burns it up. We'll see which God answers by fire. And the God who answers by fire, he is God.